but do you think it's acceptable that after you got violated, that you're able to violate another rights-bearing individual?
I don't think of it as violating an individual because, like...
Well, then you're not giving the child in utero human rights, so why are you even calls it?
What do you mean human rights? Like, that's...
If this is a child, if this is a human being alive, and we give human rights to human beings, this means we have to value this human being in utero the same way we value a human being out of utero.
Yeah, well, I personally, I'm not saying you can't view it like this or something like that. I personally do not view it. Like, I don't view it as human rights or whatnot.
Yeah, you hold a bigoted view.
Huh?
Yeah. So this is a view of bigotry. So what you're doing right now is you're saying this child in utero doesn't have equal rights to me or you because of X, Y, or Z factors, correct?
Yeah, well, you're saying that the rights, like the more so human rights, belong more to the child in utero than the mother that's...
No, they're equal. They're equal. I can show you how. I can actually back up how.
Go ahead and move on.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming up. We appreciate it.
Have a good day.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey.
Firelord, stop. Okay. Anyways, I know we were talking last night. Can I just get your age really quick?
Yeah. I was on the panel last night, so I'm 29. Yeah. My name's Zach, so I'm pro-choice.
Okay, cool. Does anyone want to talk to him? I kind of talked to him last night, so.
Yeah, I don't want you to give away the secrets to my argument. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You can have your argument if you want it. Like I said, we talked last night. So, Stone or Baba, do you want to talk?
No hints. I'm just kidding.
Or Raven. Hey, Raven.
Hey, what's going on?
You're pro-life or an abolitionist, right?
Yeah, I'm an abolitionist and I'm 30.
Nice.
Want to debate?
Debate who?
I'm going to be 30 in a month, brother. Let's go.
Oh, nice. Wait, are you pro-choice?
Yeah, I'm pro-choice.
Yeah, why are you pro-choice?
Mostly from like a legal standpoint. There's some moral aspect in there too, but I think that you shouldn't be able to force somebody to do an act, an immoral act.
You shouldn't force somebody to do what?
You shouldn't be able to force someone to do an immoral action.
Okay, explain.
Yeah, so like I believe in like the 3 exceptions, right? And I would grant 2 more exceptions, with withdrawal of consent and antinatalism, which is just the view that it's immoral to bring beings into existence that can experience suffering without their consent.
Okay, so you're talking about like if, for example, like somebody was going to be poor, and you don't think they should be bringing a human being into this life. Is that what you're saying?
Not exactly. Even if somebody was going to live like the best life, there's still a chance that they could suffer. And there are some people, I would consider myself one of them, that think that bringing life into existence without consent is like a morally wrong action.
Wait, how can you consent to a biological process?
You can't, but you can withdraw consent from a biological process.
Yeah.
I mean, not if they're a right-bearing individual this time.
Yeah, so that's where I think we'll disagree on. So I think life begins at conception. I don't think that a life worth living begins at conception.
Well, of course. I mean, you don't think life is worth living, so.
Of course I do. That's not charitable.
Probably not, because how could any child consent to being born?
Right. No child can. You said that yourself that you didn't consent to being born.
Yes, if you can't consent, you're saying you must consent to be born for it to be like righteous or just. There's a problem in your stance there.
No, I'm not saying that you have to consent to be born. I'm saying there's some people who think that bringing somebody into existence without their consent is wrong. I'm not saying.
You said you did.
I do hold that view, but what you just said wasn't that view. You were saying some version of like you have to ask the soul of a baby before it's in a body if it wants to live. I'm not saying something like that.
Then what are you saying exactly?
I'm saying that like I think that bringing something into existence when you can't like get consent from it, it can experience suffering. I'm saying that is a morally wrong thing.
What about suffering makes it morally wrong?
What about suffering makes it morally wrong?
Yeah.
I'll answer that, but just to clarify, you don't think suffering is morally wrong?
Not in all aspects. I think a lot of good comes from suffering as well.
Okay. In cases where suffering is necessary to bring about some greater good, I would just say that suffering in that instance is good. But that's not the kind of suffering I'm talking about. I'm talking about gratuitous suffering.
And then give me all your forms of suffering and which ones are acceptable, which ones are not.
Yeah. So I would say like some form of like threshold deontology, where like there's going to be an amount, the threshold like of negative qualia or negative experience that would warrant saying that this being's life, if it hasn't yet developed sufficient like properties to be considered worth living, would be like sufficient for me to say that it's okay to terminate this thing's existence or something.
All right. Would you believe all personal experiences or experiences that a person goes through is subjective?
Yeah, I think it's objectively true that I'm having a subjective experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so all human beings have a subjective experience, and all human beings deem their subjectivity of their experiences in different fashions and ways, correct?
That's right.
So, concluding that, if all humans have that, you wouldn't be the just one to compose what about their subjective experience involves or makes that suffering true suffering or suffering from your standpoint. Therefore, you can't really use the argument of suffering, for an example, to propose that someone's life is actually worthy of taking or not, or just taking by that measure.
Wait, you're gonna have to run that all back. I don't see how any of that was connected, but maybe I didn't understand what that was
All
addressing.
experiences are subjective.
Yeah.
And they're subjective to the person.
Yeah.
And your argument is based upon the subjective suffering of these individuals that is subjective to their personal experience, would mean we couldn't be the advocate or a judge for this because it's subjective to that individual in his own state of the suffering.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. You're just equivocating on person there. So I think life begins at conception. I don't think personhood begins.
I'm not challenging that. So if this person is subjective to what they think suffering is, and all people have their subjective experiences, and this suffering is subjective to their experiences, we would not be able to deem what is subjectively suffering to another individual with this type of reason or rationality like another human being. Therefore, we couldn't just or reason to unalive them based off of this principle.
Yeah, but the things that we're talking about don't fall into that category. So I would say that life that begins at conception does not contain the property set of having a subjective experience.
How could it not? It's living and developing and growing in the environment as we're supposed to be, which is a subjective experience in itself.
No, I agree that would be some form of subjectivity because it would be mind independent, but I would say that it wouldn't be experienced in the same way that, let's just take three instances of time, right? Sperm, no qualia; egg, no qualia; sperm and egg together, Y qualia, Y sentience.
Therefore, child in utero, that's after conception, that's sentience.
Right, that's what I'm asking for the argument for. I don't think that a life worth living starts at conception, but I think life starts at conception.
When do you put that life worth living starts at?
I'm not sure.
Then your argument is invalid anyways because you don't even have a perspective in which life begins. Therefore, You're arguing off of a measurement that you can't measure or persuade. Therefore, you're not in a just position to say that life doesn't start at an earlier point because you have no reason or rationale for the point in which, and you don't even know when this point is.
Hey,
Therefore,
hey, real quick. I appreciate your passion, but I don't think you're trying to be charitable because you said that I couldn't say that life begins at an earlier point. I've already granted that life begins at conception. So, let's just listen. Wait. 1 second. I'm almost done.
That's not appropriate.
I'm almost
to say
done.
to me,
I was
so
almost done.
I'm almost done.
I'm almost done.
That's not appropriate to say because I didn't even challenge that because I also agree life begins conception.
Yeah,
that's
but
not what I argued once.
Yeah, you actually did say that, and if I misheard you, that's fine. But I think that I didn't. But so wait.
Definitely misheard that because that's not what I argued at all.
For sure.
Raven could vouch for me because he's heard me debate.
For sure. So I covered this ambiguous start of sentience in my examples at the beginning, where I would say that I make a moral claim, mostly a legal claim, with some threshold deontology there. So the threshold deontology is going to be...
Legal claim's irrelevant.
I don't think so. But
so we're going to have to move away from that because that would be a fallacy.
I don't think the legal claim is relevant at all.
Felix, how old are you really quick?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2006.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just have a question for right here. So you're talking about sentience. So why does sentience determine the worthy of life?
Because things that have sentience can have like pleasure and suffering, and things that don't have sentience can't. You wouldn't say that like cutting up a carrot is the same thing as cutting up a human.
Yeah, I would say they have the.
So here's the thing, right? So we know that as early as 7 weeks, a baby can feel the mother's emotions, whether she's stressed out or she's happy or she's sad, whatever it is. Okay, cool.
That's why I think that MM's argument about me not knowing where the starting point is irrelevant, because we know that.
That's not even the starting point was. I said because your argument didn't have a starting point for it and no measuring stick for it, it's invalid, is what I said.
No, I didn't say that it didn't have one. I said I wasn't sure what it was.
Right here.
Yeah, which means you're not sure what it is. Therefore, if you're not sure, you don't have these parameters in which to measure and judge and actually determine it, it's invalid until you come up with that or conclude that, in which it can now be challenged. Otherwise, you're just living in an aspect world.
So keep that in your mind. I'm going to engage with Felix real quick, and I'll be back.
Yeah, so just real quick, right? So sentience shouldn't play a part in whether somebody's worthy of life or not, because would you unalive a newborn that's born with perinatal asphyxia?
I don't know what that is, but if it means they don't have a subject.
No, so perinatal asphyxia is basically where it lacks oxygen to the brain. So that means that they have no sentience or consciousness or cognitive abilities via birth or prior to birth. So would you unalive that newborn?
Yeah, I would say that there might be some emotional attachment to that being, but I was.
So here's the thing. So
wait, sorry. Did you want an answer or not?
Yeah, so hold on. So
Okay.
mind you, when we make a stance like sentience, right, we're not talking about emotional attachment, because if a baby's in the womb, right, women automatically get emotional attachment to their babies, even if they want an AB. My point being is that you're saying that sentience matters, and in terms of perinatal asphyxia, it could be, cured within a couple months, a couple weeks. We don't exactly know, but if the doctor said in 5 months, right, your baby will have proper oxygen to the brain and will have consciousness, would you still unalive that newborn?
Yeah, but I wouldn't. But I wouldn't say that those are even close to analogous. Like saying that something doesn't have like sentience, and then saying that this baby is like alive already and could live with aid, and will like one day acquire sentience or something is weird.
But here's the thing. So we know that life starts at conception. Okay, we already covered that. My point being is this is why sentience would not play a part, because you can't just pick and choose who you want to give the sentience worthy of life anecdote to, right? So if sentience plays a part in why we keep babies alive, then you would, being logically consistent, you would have to unalive that newborn because it does not have sentience.
No, because I wouldn't have to unalive a carrot because it doesn't have sentience, or unalive a rock that doesn't have sentience, or unplug a vegetable that doesn't have sentience. So, yeah.
Yeah, so all of those things have no capability of growing, meaning if a carrot is fully formed, right? When you go ahead and cut a carrot, mind you, I don't even know why. I'm going to let you know right now. I don't debate plants, aliens, animals, right? We're talking about the human life. So, right, can we
Well, I'm not
keep
talking about that. I'm talking about sentience.
Okay, great. Yeah, so when we speak about sentience, like I said, you have to be logically consistent. So if you say, oh, sentience matters, then you would have to unalive that newborn who was born without sentience.
Yeah, and if you're saying logically consistent, you would say you have to unalive the carrot that doesn't have sentience.
Yeah, so like I said, we're not talking about food, we're not talking about plants, we're not talking about animals, we're talking about human life. You're saying that for the human life to be worthy of living, it requires sentience. So what I'm saying is that logically consistent to your point of view, you would have to unalive that newborn because it has no sentience.
Yeah, so let me try and understand what you're saying. But first let me ask you, would you agree that for any analogy that and any two like properties, right? It's either going to be univocal, analogous, or equivocal, right?
Right.
Okay. What do you in the case of the baby versus the carrot? Obviously, I'm not talking about the same thing, and obviously, I'm not equivocating on sentence. So what do you think? Wait, sorry, Felix, I wasn't done. Sorry, I wasn't done. So, what do you think the analogous property in those two situations was?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you. No, thank you.
If you went down that rabbit hole, there'd be a carrot there.
Yeah, no, so we're not going down that route because it's not logical. We don't talk about carrots when we look at basic biology. We don't talk about carrots when we're studying science. So we're not going based off of carrots. I'm sorry, I'm not having that debate with you. You can go and have that debate with somebody else who can talk about aliens to you. My point is, if sentience matters in the human life, you would have to unalive that newborn.
Look, because I value something,
Just answer the question. Would you unalive the newborn?
I am answering, and I already answered no, you wouldn't have to. Because
Okay, why?
listen.
Why?
I'm trying to tell you why. Okay?
Okay, so get to the point.
Yeah, that's going to be the other words that I say besides the answer. No, you wouldn't have to, because just because you value something doesn't mean that if a thing lacks that property that you don't value it at all. You could value honesty or integrity or handsomeness or like having 10 fingers and 10 toes on a partner, but if you fell in love with somebody that didn't have a pinky, it wouldn't be the case that you had to break up with them because they didn't have 10 fingers. Obviously,
Okay,
that's
what
dumb.
other values? So great. So what other values does a newborn have rather than a fetus?
What? Wait, what?
What other values does that newborn have? Let's just say, okay, you're saying that even if it doesn't have sentience, right, it has other values. Is that correct?
No, I'm saying that if you care about sentience, it's not the case that if a thing doesn't have sentience, you have to hate it or something.
Okay, so then why are you applying that and justifying ABs with that? If
Well-
sentience does not dictate whether you hate it or don't want it, then why are you justifying ABs with it?
Wait,
That's what I'm saying. You're not being logically consistent.
Yeah. So I would say that it's logically inconsistent to say that all people who get ABs hate their babies. That's what I would say is logically inconsistent, which is what you're implying.
Nobody's saying that you have to hate a baby because they don't have sentience. What I'm asking
just said that
if
about my
No,
position.
no, it was a question to you
was
because
a
you're
loaded question.
saying that if this newborn is born without sentience, there's other factors that play a part, and I shouldn't just hate this newborn because it doesn't have sentience. So why are you hating the fetus or the zygote in the womb because it doesn't have sentience?
I'm not hating the fetus or the zygote. I'm saying
Then
it
why
does.
are you using
Hey,
that to
hey.
justify-
Let me finish, and then you can ask another one, and I'll try and answer that one. Okay? Good system. So I'm not hating the child in utero or the fetus or whatever. I'm not hating the baby whose life begins at conception. I'm saying that because it doesn't have the ability to experience qualia and it has a subjective experience, I value the mother the right of the mother to not be forced to carry out an immoral action, and I value the mother's ability to withdraw consent from being pregnant over the non-existent subjective experience of a sperm and an egg.
First of all, you can't consent to a natural process. That's number one.
Did I say that you could?
Number two, hold on, because you're saying that she has to consent. You just said that.
No, actually I said the opposite, Felix. I said
So you cannot.
Felix.
Okay.
Oh, it's not important that I said the opposite? You don't care?
All right, great. So we can agree on that. That it's a natural process. You can't consent to a natural process. However,
What do you think my position is?
a woman is. I didn't ask for that.
Yeah, for sure.
That wasn't his claim though.
What is his claim?
Oh, now you're interested?
He just went through it. Just let her know what your stance is again.
Yeah, so Felix, just to be clear, I think that it's wrong to force somebody to do an immoral action, and I believe there exist people that think that bringing about a being that has the ability to experience suffering into existence without its consent, which we agree it can't consent, is wrong. And I think it's wrong to force somebody to do that if they think that it's immoral. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So then,
Cool.
if I'm
So your argument should change now because you weren't arguing my position before.
so then that would mean that we should just unalive every newborn
Hey,
because
Hey.
no newborn can
hey,
consent.
hey.
Right?
There was a conditional statement in there. Do you remember what it was?
Okay.
The conditional statement was, if somebody thinks that is immoral, we shouldn't be able to force them to do an immoral thing. Do all newborns have... Wait, Felix, I was almost done. You almost made it. Do all newborns have parents who think that it's immoral to have a baby? The answer is obviously no. So attack my argument, please.
Can you repeat that last thing that you said?
Yes. For you to take my argument and say that we should just unalive all newborns is for you to be committed to saying that all newborns have parents that think that having babies is immoral, and that's just not true.
Yeah, so here's the issue, right? So we go based off of, like, the way that I go based off of things is, right, consistency. So, like, let's just say your stance was this fetus has to have sentience, or this fetus has to have 2 arms or 2 legs, right? That would apply to every single thing. We can't just say, oh, because one parent does not want to have this child, it's just right. So, like, if I say, oh, I don't want my 8-month-old, right? I have an 8-month-old son. If I say, oh, I don't want him, I'm going to go and unalive him. That doesn't mean that we make that legal.
I agree. Now, let me show you what that commits you to, right? You say one thing in one case must be thing in all cases. Okay. Everybody should be pro-choice all 9 months because some people that are alive are pro-choice all 9 months. That's your logic, and that's consistent with yours. Do you agree, or do you find that repulsive?
No. So first of all, I find that odd, right? Because we shouldn't be unaliving anybody, right?
Right.
So
And by your logic, nobody should want to have ABs.
Well, here's the thing. Why are you not valuing human life overall?
I do value human life, and I think that to keep suggesting I don't when it's been shown that you didn't understand my argument, and now that you think that you're clear on it, to keep going on that route is disingenuous.
So, yeah, no. So
You don't think
just
it's
asked me
disingenuous?
Why? No. So you just asked me, why do you think that being pro-choice, right? Just because one person is pro-choice, everybody should be pro-choice. That's how you were going to attack my argument. And I said that we value human life. We shouldn't be unaliving anybody.
Yeah, so, no.
It's not right to
So,
unalive
again, you missed the analogous property there. Wasn't that you think that? It was that you think that if we're going to hold some standard to one thing, we should hold that standard to all things. So there are people that exist that are pro-life. That means, by your logic, all people should be pro-life. But there also exist people that are pro-choice all 9 months. So you think all people should be pro-choice all 9 months. There are also people who think the Holocaust is good. So by your logic, all people should think that the Holocaust is good. Do you understand that?
Now you're still manning her position.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'm saying something wrong.
Many
Whatever
things,
it is,
yeah.
I don't understand. But right here, so do you think that unaliving somebody is wrong if I go out on the streets and unalive somebody?
In most cases, yeah. I value sentience.
Okay, yeah, so clearly don't really value sentience to the full degree, because I just gave you a case where a newborn didn't have sentience.
And
My
I said
point
I
is
wouldn't kill it.
that if
Yeah,
I
so I
go
do
out-
value sentience, right?
If I go out,
Hey,
if I go
Felix.
out-
Hey, Felix. Do you think that we're both being equally charitable?
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask my question without you interrupting me.
And then I'll answer it.
So my son is 8 months old, right? If I go and unalive my son because I just don't feel like he's just taking energy from me or whatever the case may be, I'm just gonna go and unalive my 8-month-old, perfectly healthy baby, right? Is that okay?
No, I don't think it's okay.
Okay, let's just say he did not have sentience. Is that okay?
I would think that Okay, so let me ask you this question. What would?
No, just answer my question.
Yeah. I think it would be okay, right? Because
it would be okay for me to unalive my 8-month-old because he doesn't have sentience.
if there's no thing that's experiencing, it would not change the mental state of any being to go from like one temporal state to another. That's like saying if you had an 8-month-old rock, could you like crush it into gravel or something?
No. So here's the issue, right? Because rocks are inanimate, right? They don't grow. They don't, they have no capability of growing. My son is not sentient, but he has capability of growing. So we can't compare a human life to a rock. That's number one. Number two, so you're saying that because I just gave you a standpoint earlier and said if this newborn does not have sentience, do we get to unalive it? You said no.
Yeah.
Now you're saying yes.
Yeah, but the thing that's analogous in both of those situations is I'm not the one making the fucking decision, right? I value sentience. The newborn that has this asphyxia thing. Wait, Felix, I wasn't actually done, right? So you're just gonna have to be patient. You value your child's life. You probably wouldn't make that decision, right? But all I'm saying is that for something to have absence of experience, to say that you're taking away from experience, if you like cause that thing to not exist, would just be to make a contradictory statement. It is the case that I'm taking away experience from this thing, and it's not the case that I'm taking away experience from this thing. And it would just be straightforwardly contradictory. And that's the position you hold.
Right. And we already came around the part, yeah, we have emotional attachment to this newborn or my 8-month-old. Yeah, okay, we get that. But I just asked you earlier, a newborn without sentience, you don't know who this newborn is. You said that it would be wrong, but now you're sorry.
No, I didn't say it would be wrong. I said you wouldn't have to abort it.
I said, would you unalive this newborn? Would you unalive this newborn because it does not have sentience? You said no.
Yeah, I'm saying you wouldn't have to. I'm not saying there's a correct thing to do as far as like this case you have to kill it.
Am I tripping or that was
So
not
right here, hold on.
Bro,
I'm just gonna
you've been
ask this
tripping this
like-
whole time, yeah.
Hold on, right here. I'm just gonna try and ask this how I think Felix is trying to ask it, but I don't even know. Okay, so here's the question, right? She gave you this scenario where there's a baby that is non-sentient and has never experienced sentience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that if someone takes an action to murder this child who's never experienced sentience, should they be legally charged with murder? If they unalive this being who is non-sentient, never experienced sentience, but will gain sentience.
But will gain sentience, then yeah, I think they should be held accountable.
Yeah, so that applies also to the zygote in the womb, right? Because
Yeah.
the zygote does
Yeah.
not have.
I'm agreeing.
The zygote doesn't have. Hold on, right here.
Yeah,
The
so
zygote does not have sentience experience, right? But
Yeah.
it will have experience.
Yeah, I get it. You guys smell a reductio, so you're like trying to pounce on it. But if I can just
No, all I'm saying is that if you're saying that I can murder the non-sentient being who is going to gain sentience in this scenario, but I can't murder, what am I trying to say? Or I can't murder the non-sentient being that will gain sentience in this scenario. The only difference in these two is one's inside the womb, one's outside the womb.
yes, and the reason that that's not a reductio in my view is because I value the mother's right to withdraw consent and my ability to force her to do something she considers immoral to outweigh the non-sentience but gonna be sentient in a a few experience of the baby.
So wait, what if?
He said she never had consent.
Huh?
What if the mother thought it was moral to unalive her 8-month-old?
Yeah, I wouldn't think that that's okay because the 8-year-old has sentience and you can't.
No, I said
I just said my 8-month-old doesn't have sentience.
Oh, your 8-month-old?
Doesn't have sentience.
8-month-old doesn't have sentience.
Wait, an 8-month-old out of the womb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you guys are incorrect that your 8-year-old does not have a subjective experience.
No,
No,
not
8-year-old.
8-year-old. 8-month-old.
I mean, yeah, you're incorrect that your 8-month-old doesn't have a subjective
Because
experience.
here's the thing with perinatal asphyxia, it can take up to a year to get the baby's proper organs to function and get proper oxygen to his brain.
Okay,
with
Felix,
the
real quick.
oxygen.
How many how many fingers do humans have? Just a quick sanity check.
It can vary.
Yeah. So you would say 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My cousin doesn't have a finger. Does that change that the normal answer is 10? No. So the normal answer is yes, an 8-month-old baby has a subjective experience. If you don't think that, you are conceptually impoverished.
No. So hold on. So fingers and your brain are two different things, right? So if I don't have an
You
arm,
think I don't think that?
So I'm not done. So let's just say I don't have an arm, right? I can experience, chocolate or the sensation of what chocolate does to me, right? But if I don't have the brain activity, right? If there's no oxygen or not enough oxygen going to my brain, causing no sentience, no cognitive abilities, and no consciousness, then I'm not going to feel the same thing. So losing a limb is not the same as your brain structure. So that's just not a logical debate either.
Look,
Wait, so
what you
right.
yeah. So go ahead, Raven. Sorry.
I just had a question. Do you value future sentience or no?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so do you believe the fetus will gain that future sentience or not?
Yeah, I do, and I think that it's obvious that I do. Right. That's what I'm like. Yeah. I don't know if like Felix has just poisoned the well of being uncharitable, but I think it's obvious that I know.
No, I'm just saying, would it be permissible to unalive this future sentient being?
Yeah, if the mother wants to withdraw her consent from being pregnant, or thinks that bringing about a baby is an immoral act, I value that over the future sentience of that currently not sentient being. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think she gave you two statements here where one is out of the womb and one is in the womb, and then you want to contradict your statement with one another. So I think if I'm seeing this correctly,
Yeah, just say it. I'll say it.
well, no, I think this is just a special plea to pregnancy.
So I agree that in one case I'm appealing to. So look. The other pillar of my argument is something I think that everybody thinks, and I'll just test that now. I don't think that all life has equal value in all circumstances. And
Okay, so I would say that's the same thing that they would say like to slavery or small Holocaust.
just because you can use it for a bad claim doesn't mean that it is not true. So if your goal was, let's say, index to so
Right.
wait, so index to some, I know it doesn't. I'm saying that means it's going to be context dependent. So index to some goal or aim, there are going to be people more valuable in achieving that aim than other people, right? Like,
Yeah, I would think that would make you a bigot.
so let's just test that then, Raven. If your goal, right, was to win a drag race, you think Danica Patrick and a 6-year-old have the same value if your aim is to win a drag race?
No, I think they're both human, so yeah, I would think they're both of equal value in life.
If your value is to win a drag race, you think they both have equal value?
Well, in life.
No. I'm specifically talking about drag race.
Okay, drag races. Yeah, I think Danica Patrick would win.
That's just to say that you think that all humans don't have the same value in all contexts.
But if we're talking, but you're conflating it, right?
Nope.
So you're comparing a race to somebody unaliving somebody else.
No. I'm comparing an aim with another aim or goal. I'm comparing two goals. That's the analogous property, not the silly metaphor I come up with to show that it's ridiculous that you think that all humans are equally valuable in all circumstances. The analogous property isn't Danica Patrick doing a burnout on the Talladega Speedway. The analogous property is the goal that you index those values to.
Yeah, I would have to disagree when it comes to this topic.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I mean, that's fine. It hurts me more that Raven doesn't agree, but that's fine.
If we're talking about alive, right, humans, right, everybody has the same rights.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but right here's what I'm saying. I just don't think this is a good position to hold, just because we could make this same argument when it comes to slavery or the small Holocaust, right? We didn't value the human beings just because they were black or because they were Jews, right? So I think that's a human rights violation, and you just basically pointed that out to us, like that's your stance. Is you're okay with violating a human rights violation?
Yo, Raven. I think that you think that you're being charitable. So I'll just ask you, do you think that I think that the Holocaust is a gratuitously repulsive evil?
I mean, I would hope not. I'm
right.
Not saying that's
it's pretty obvious. It's going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah, I would say that that I don't think that's your argument, but I would say that you're getting really close to it.
So listen.
Y'all working on different
Wait. Just real quick. One last like reductio. Raven, do you think that Hitler held those lives at the same value as other lives?
Yeah, no, and that's why I think it's wrong.
Yeah, but that's just to say that indexed to some goal, values are going to be different, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not making the claim that the Holocaust is good.
We're working off of different presuppositions here. Like, you're concluding off of a different framework of your pre-thought than we are. We're going into this talking about the innate value of the human being as a rational kind. You're talking about from a goal perspective.
Yeah. So it depends on how you're cashing out innate there, but I would agree that
So, I mean, we get into the deep, the nitty gritty of each word, because in a real philosophical debate, we might need to,
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying there.
Yeah. So if you're saying something like, if we're gonna cash out my goal to give the human with the most value the most chance for prosperity, and we have a mother who thinks that they are committing an immoral act by having a baby, and they have the ability to withdraw consent from that, then I would value that index to my goal of giving that life's greatest chance of prosperity over.
But what if her subjective experience and opinion on that matter cause the action that would actually be like the opposite of that. Say like the actual real situation would have caused the less harm and suffering would have been the birth of that child, not the actually unaliving of that child. And we would never know that because this is just pre-assumed by the nature of just like her subjective experience. So we'd have to then say, why is her subjective experience so that it can actually take the subjective experience away from another rights-bearing individual that might have had a different type of experience.
So that's almost my position, but I would say that right there we're just disagreeing on when a human life gains subjective experience, and that's actually a perfect tie-in to where we left off. Is just because I don't know where the threshold is for sentience doesn't mean that I think that a zygote and a 30-year-old person have the same level of sentience. Obviously, there's going to be some starting point there. Just because I'm fuzzy on where it is doesn't.
I would argue a 5-year-old doesn't have the same level of sentience as a 25-year-old.
That's just to say that there's a threshold for sentience, and I think that
there definitely is a threshold.
Yeah.
But what gives us that innate value, which I would argue would be within the nature of what we are to have these thresholds and be proposed to this, but we still would have to have some sort of measuring stick for this.
Yeah.
Something to measure and observe it in some fashion.
I think you can also just cash that out in terms of preferences. I think if you think that something has an innate value, I think that something that it would look like to have a value for something is if a being could find that thing valuable, and I don't think that zygotes can find something valuable.
Well, we'd have to look at this from multiple perspectives, not just a value statement, but we'd also have to look at it from a duty and obligation standpoint. Because for like, if you're talking about like value statement, what's most valuable for society, that individual or a combination of both? Well, then we have to take into other factors there.
So, no. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the involuntary imposition of will onto another person's will. That's what I'm talking about.
Sure, and if you're imposing your will to take out the future existence of another will, you're committing a violation against like an obligation you should hold to someone of the rational kind or nature of that person.
Well, should is going to be normative language there, but I'm
arguing more normative right here.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say I love that this is coming up. So I would say that I agree that both of them have will, and I would agree that it's as a general rule, it's wrong to impose your will on another. But we can think of examples. For example, like if you saw somebody graping somebody, nobody would say that it was wrong for you to impose your will or interrupt that person.
Yes, because in imposing my will, I'm stopping infringement upon somebody trying to infringe upon someone else's.
Exactly, and directly analogous to that.
Self-defense principle.
Yeah, and if you impose your will on the fetus when the mother wants to withdraw consent and thinks that having a baby is wrong, you're preserving her will. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't think her will is absolute and concrete. So
No, but I think it's worth more than the fetus's will.
I would say it's worth the exact same.
But that's going to lead into that weird reductio, right? Like,
No, actually, I don't think it necessarily does, because your deductio is based off a system of goals in which one might be more accomplished to do X, Y, or Z factors, which mine would be actually engraved in the nature of the being itself.
what is nature there?
How we observe the world around us, how we see things to occur. There's a lot of ways I could explain that.
Okay, well, you're talking about like MSNB, like documentary nature, like the outside world, or you're talking about like in like a set of properties.
I'd say like the properties in which the world functions off.
Okay, yeah. So
Real quick, I'm gonna head out, guys. Right here, I appreciate your debate. That was actually fun.
yeah, I really appreciate your contribution. It's like, thank you for helping us get back on track, me and Felix, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Stone. DM me your number. I'm gonna have to talk to you soon.
Is everything all right?
Oh yeah. No, everything's great.
All right, I'll do it right now. Hold on.
All right.
Peace.
All right. See y'all. Thank you, host. I gave you a follow, so.
Thank you. I'll see you sometime.
See you soon. Bye.
Skylar, what happened between last night and now? I'm getting a text. I'm just kidding.
No, honestly, I like your stance because it makes me think.
Yeah.
And think more than I normally would.
Yeah, I think I have a unique perspective on it. Like,
It's kind of interesting to actually think about and argue against, just because I've never argued against this.
yeah. It's
So
just
I'm
because
trying to
it's just
stick
because
to
on
my
its
principles and argue. It's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
very interesting.
On its face, antinatalism sounds silly. It's like, wait, like an unborn thing has to consent to being alive, but like if you give it like a couple minutes of thought, there's just gonna be some response. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely run into a lot of logically consistent, because I don't think you're not being consistent logically.
Yeah.
I've run into a lot of logically consistent arguments for something I find to be very, my intuition just, to me, finds it to be very immoral.
True. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of a reductio.
Like, that's why, like, it comes down to our worldviews and where we ground that stuff.
Yeah. So like,
which then becomes a different conversation.
yeah, definitely. Like the whole point of a reductio is saying like, here's this thing that's supposed to repulse you. Either you can adapt your view or you can stay consistent, and this is the conclusion. Does that repulse you? And if you go, for you to like think that it's repulsive, but just go, nope, I'm staying logically consistent. It's like, come on, man.
I mean, for me, I've debated someone that had a pretty good one that had some nasty hills to die on, but was logically consistent. He wanted an argument logically against that. And I was like, I would have to change the worldview in which to have an argument against your framework, which I didn't think his framework fit the world we live in.
Yeah.
But it still fit a logical framework of a world in which he provided.
Yeah, like last night I was walking Skylar and Kellen and a couple like Warrior down the like this set of possible worlds like semantic that I have. It's like an intuition pump for what you value, right? Because they say that they value like human life or something. So like, can I do that to you real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so
hopefully I word things better as I go, because I don't think I worded my argument very well, but I think you kind of got it.
Yeah, no, yeah, like in the beginning, I think you were heated from whoever you were talking to before.
Heated. I was trying to get it all out.
Yeah. I get super. I mean, you think that people.
Excitement to get it out.
You think that people are schmurdering babies? Like, there's a reason to be passionate, right?
It wasn't even that for me. Like, sometimes I don't get a chance to argue deeper.
Oh,
so when I do,
what's up, Linda?
I get excited.
Yeah.
And then when I get excired, don't always put it out there as well as when I slow myself down.
Dude, yeah, I'm the exact same. Okay, so here's the intuition dump, right? It's you exist alone in the void, right? There are two buttons. Whichever button you press, that world gets actualized, and the other world does not. Okay. World one.
All right.
There's a human that lives a perfectly happy life, 100% worth living. World two people that live 95% worth living lives. Which one are you pressing?
I don't think you can go wrong here.
You know, okay, that's great.
I really don't, because
that's not a false sense of security at all.
In the situation where I'm in avoidance myself,
Mm-hmm.
it's just one rights-bearing individual, not in opposition or any aspect to any other thing there. So any framework in which I can go from there technically wouldn't be the wrong framework.
Okay, so wait, so your value. So which one are you picking?
I would have to toss a coin, probably.
Oh, so Baba Yaga, just to catch up, you two buttons in the void. Button one person, 100% worth living life. Button two people, 95% worth living lives. There's no saving or like you don't kill people. It's just which world do you want to actualize? You're saying you'd flip a coin? Nothing's tugging at your feelings or intuition?
No, not there. I mean, because either way, without me doing that, the other world doesn't exist at all or never did. It's all based upon that decision of existence. So for me to have a moral quarrel out of to say, here's these two worlds, I get to pick the destruction of one and not the other.
No. That's there are some hypotheticals that deal with like you committing harm and like what Baba Yaga's saying, like saving people. No, that's not this world. No, people.
No, that's why I said I didn't have to necessarily pick, so coin flip would be just as equally permissible.
Okay, so let me try and make it an easier choice then. World 1, 100% worth living life, one person. World 2, two people living 99.99% worth living lives.
See, but either way, like I'd have to know like what it means to have that type of.
We can just say that it's stipulated.
Even with that, like I don't think I could make a wrong choice either way.
Okay,
either way, whatever choice I make is leading to or some sort of rights-bearing individual having an experience.
Yeah, but in the second world, there are two rights-bearing individuals.
Sure, but I'm not necessarily Unitarian. I don't think that necessarily matters. I think all of them are equal. So if there's yet to be there, it's irrelevant if the other one ceases to exist.
Okay, nothing ceases to exist. I don't know why you keep saying that. That's why I think that you're maybe it's not like intuitioning or whatever. I understand if you're not like committed to this like rule of ethics. But I'm gonna try one more time, and then
Sure.
okay, world.
I might think differently upon this because each one had to pick a world in which exists and the other doesn't.
Yeah, but it's not like you're going to be keeping it from existing, right? Like, if it was the idea in your head, if you were to create a world, one or two, one, 100% worth living life, one person, two, 10 people that had 99.99%, 10 of them.
I mean, honestly, I don't see a difference in which one would be more moral than the other.
Yo, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let me just do the reductio then, and let's see if this
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be dishonest.
No, I love that you're doing this. This is like the most honest that I've ever heard. So listen, world one person, perfectly happy life. World two, infinite people that exist that have lives that are barely worth living at all. Which one?
I'm not sure I could pick between those two because I still think they would have value in a sense of their nature. Even
Dude,
if they didn't have great
this guy,
experience.
you're like if anti-utilitarianism came to life, dude.
I mean, I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm really not trying to be deceived.
Nobody here's accusing you of being dishonest. That argument.
I honestly don't see a difference from my perspective which one would be more just for me to pick.
Yeah, so
because I would still hold value for all those scenarios.
if you did, so that's called the repugnant conclusion, and it's meant to be a reductio for utilitarianism, right? Because a utilitarian is just going to say that two people are going to provide you more utility than one person, even if it's a less percentage. Like it's going to be more percent because of all the totals, and so it's just going to say that a utilitarian is what's it called? Committed to saying that infinitely many people living lives that are barely worth living is better than one person living a perfectly happy life, and that's just supposed to be repulsive to the interlocutor.
Yeah, the problem with my framework is I would hold all lives with equal value, and I don't have a utilitarian view at all. So
Yeah.
to me, it'd be like, where's the right infringement coming from? Where can I stop the rights infringement? But it's not for me to dictate like
Yeah.
the rest of from a moral perspective that way.
Yeah, and then just to like draw an analogy on this example to your point earlier when I said I care about sentience and you said when does it start? So I would pick wait. I'm just gonna draw it into this analogy, right? So I would pick world 2, 95% people, but 2 people. I would pick world 2 the next time where it's 4 people. But at some point, I don't agree with infinitely many people that have barely worth living lives. I don't agree that that's better than one person. So there's gonna be some threshold. And just because I don't know what that threshold is, doesn't mean I can't, like, 400,000 people living 1% worth living lives? That seems kind of weird to me, you know?
But say we don't know that threshold, there's a situation in which this child wasn't alive that actually passed this threshold and we didn't have a way to know that or understand that. What do we run into then?
Yeah, you would just run into, like thinking deeply about, like, the value system that you have, and like you can tell that this is a case where you have really strong credence and intuition and feelings and reasons to do both actions, and you would just want to like choose the one that whatever your moral theory seeks to attain, just do the one that you have an intuitive sense that would do that one. That's why it's a hard decision.
Yeah, I sent you a follow, by the way.
I already followed. I already followed you. Oh, I followed you back just now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, crazy good convo, man.
Dude, what's up, man?
Oh, what's up, dude? No, honestly, like I'm kind of enjoying this conversation without like necessarily.
I'm just sitting there
I kind of like the thought experiment.
Yeah. No, it's called the repugnant conclusion. It's a good thing to read about. I love philosophy, bro.
Yeah, I've been up Thomas Aquinas' philosophy recently. I'm gonna venture away once I feel more concrete with it.
Yeah.
But I've been arguing more. Can't say I've been arguing more. I've been studying more the existence of God proofs than I have the abortion debate recently.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw in the comments that you said that like our innate morality or our goodness is instantiated by God or something. Yeah. This probably isn't the time for that, but like I'm an atheist, so if you ever want to have a conversation about that, we can.
Oh, sure. And here's where a lot of things get tangled. We need to have multiple tiered conversations for this topic. Like, for one, you have to argue the existence of God before you ever get into any religion.
Right. You know? People will say, like, listen to this Bible story I have. And I'm like, whoa, man.
That's step 10 if you want to.
Yeah, we're on the loading screen right now, brother.
Yeah. So, like, when I'm talking to an atheist, I don't actually like talking about any religion in particular. I want to look at it from a standpoint of logical proofs of why I feel it's necessary that a being that we would define as God would have to exist.
Would not have to exist?
Would have to exist.
From your side and from
then
my
they would
side,
give
I
me
would
their
say why they
yeah,
don't.
Then we go back and forth that way.
Yeah. I would say that I think that but because it's possible that the universe is past eternal, I would just a little like debate trick. It's not a trick because I truly do think this. If I take the view that the universe is past eternal, I can flip the question that theists usually ask me, which is how did something come from nothing? And I would say that like
I don't even. That's too basic a question for me.
Yeah.
For me, like I would ask you more like a proposition, like say we are contingent beings, like you would agree we're probably contingent beings. We're contingent of other things for our existence.
yes, I would agree.
And this wouldn't actually go against your framework if you have a proposition the universe is eternal.
Yeah.
But if somebody believes that it had a starting point or there was a point of nothing before something, if we're all contingent beings, it's impossible for us to exist if there was ever that point of nothing.
Yeah.
Because there has to be something in which we're contingent upon for the existence, which in this framework would be a dependent being in which we're dependent upon, and that framework would be in the definition of that would be the definition of God.
So yeah, a real quick clarification on I think people don't understand infinite. It could be the case that the universe is infinitely regressive, and it can be the case that an infinite set has a starting point. In fact, there are infinitely many infinite sets that only have a starting point and no end, and there are infinitely many sets of infinite that have an end point and no starting point. And the craziest one, there are infinitely many infinite sets that have both a beginning and an end point. So that's how counterintuitive that is. And to prove it to you, how many real numbers are between 1 and 2? Right? Isn't that crazy?
What are even real numbers at that point?
Isn't that crazy though?
Because everything's an abstract concept in math, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, math is just the language that we like describe the phenomenon with, yeah.
Yeah. It's the language, but when I always refer to the concept of it, you know?
Yeah.
I always argue that, you know, I have another argument for it, and I use this in the terms in which we define things, and I would say, like, if there's something we consider good, or something in which we appeal to that, and for us to have a standard in which we say, like, I'm doing an action that is more good or less good than, say, you have done,
Yeah.
I'd have to have some sort of objective standard in which to appeal to, or a best form of, or perfect form of that concept in which to get to.
Okay.
I would argue that within the nature of God, not the nature, but within the nature of God, there is these concepts, and these concepts of goodness, just, mercy, love. You know, I could name multiple. But in their perfect form would be in the nature of what we define as God. And what we're doing is, because we are creatures of reason, made in the image of God, we have this mindset to compare to the subjective, but never live up to that because we're fallen beings.
So the way that you cash out the terms objective and subjective, are you like using those like as they're used like commonly in philosophy?
So
like,
objective to me in this situation would be
mind independent.
Yes.
Okay, and
independent of the mind.
Yeah, independent of the mind. So
it's objective no matter what the mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then subjective would just be dependent on a mind, right?
Dependent on the mind,
yes.
And hopes to appeal to the objective.
Yeah. So for you to say that objective morality is grounded in God, that's just to say that it's grounded in God's mind, right?
It would be within God's nature. Yes.
Yeah. So morality, under your view, I think you would be committed to saying is subjective, and that subject is just God.
Well, it could be subjective because the nature of God can't change. Because if the nature of God is perfect, in a perfect form, it's an ever-existing, never-changing mold. So it wouldn't be subjective because it wouldn't be a changing thing of this, or a learning or developing thing from this. It'd have to be objective to the nature of him being perfect.
Okay, I would strongly disagree, but there's another thing that you said that I want to touch on, which is
Sure.
Do you think whatever God is being proposed, do you think that God created space and time?
Yes.
Okay. What would it mean for a God to create time? Create there implies a chain of actions that is going to include time. Right? If you say the first cause is caused by, saying caused by there is just to contradict first cause, because that's going to be an antecedent cause.
How so?
So the first cause is caused by is equivalent to saying the first cause came about from the action before, which was this, and that's not going to be the first cause. Now the cause of the first cause is going to be the first cause ad infinitum.
Sure, but I think that's implied.
Well, it's not implied if you say God created time. What would it mean to exist in a changeless state and then say, in this changeless state, no time exists? I'm going to change this state.
Yeah, you would have some sort of being outside of time and space, and which decided to change that time and space. That would necessarily, whichever one came first, would actually be the first cause. Then every cause after that would be another cause in which he initiated. Yep.
So, you said that you've recently been reading Aquinas or something. But
Yeah.
are you this isn't that I'm not. I don't know how to ask this question without it coming off a certain way. I promise I don't mean it in any way.
I won't tell you that.
Yeah. Okay. Have you been religious for most of your life, or like?
It's hard to say because I haven't always been religious.
Okay. I mean.
No, I grew up in a religious household. Like my dad is a minister.
Yeah.
But even now, I don't necessarily share the same theology as my dad or my upbringing.
Okay, I would say, like, what are the reasons that you have that you think justify that I believe that a mind created the universe is true?
A reason? I think it's absolutely necessary.
And necessary, but by that you just mean true in all possible worlds?
It would have to be true in all possible worlds. No matter what world you conceived upon, if you follow the philosophy of the nature of the existence of God, it has to be true in all aspects.
So, I was wondering, can I ask a question real quick? Because there's a term I've just recently heard. I have no idea what it means.
And Linda, I don't mind answering this question real quick. God is a triune being of the Trinity. There's three persons and one God. And the Son loves the Father like this Father loves the Son, as they love the Holy Spirit. I'm a Christian. This shows this ever love could be an existing, always existing quality of God because he's a triune being in the nature of one God.
What's up, Sean?
Oh yeah, no. I'll let you guys get back to this discussion. I'm entertained by it, but I just started like hearing and seeing this term called abolitionist, and I don't exactly know what it means or what exactly that entitles.
I'm an abolitionist.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah, like,
it just means pro-life. I think that it's changed the meaning of pro-life.
Okay. Yeah, I was just confused because I started seeing like a lot more abolitionists like start popping up, and I was just like, what does that even mean? And then once people started explaining like the pro-life with no exceptions and then the meanings behind that and the reasons behind that, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I used to be pro-life with only two exceptions, the grape and medically necessary.
Which would be causal.
Yeah, and then as soon as people started explaining it more to me, I'm like, oh, okay, now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, with people's logic, I'm like, okay. So now that I'm hearing it, I'm like, I'm starting to lean towards more abolitionist type thinking.
Yeah, but I would argue that's just an evolving of semantics, because the way I cash out those terms, if you believe there's any case where an abortion is or an abortion is not bad, I would just define you as pro-choice. Like, that's the way I've used the terms. And when I came back into like debate territory, it just was that pro-choice means willy-nilly, pro-life means some exceptions. Abolitionists think 1865, no exceptions. Like abolish.
No, honestly, I think I agree with you there. I don't necessarily think causal is pro-life.
Yeah, because in the same way that semantics has changed about the word like feminist, where it just means equal treatment of both sexes. I think most people would like hold that is valuable, but because of blue-haired, vagina hat wearing liberals who like are still figuring out their way through life, who like are protesting all sex is our word, we just think of crazy people when we think of the word feminist, and it just brings the movement down.
Oh, I absolutely love debating feminists. Like, I love it.
Because you are a feminist, or because you're not?
No, because I'm absolutely not.
Oh my God, this guy's sexist. Kick him. I'm just kidding.
No. I'm not sexist. It's just not all feminists, but some feminists have a really, really, really bad thinking towards all men. Like, some of them will just have this thinking of, like, all men are bad. And
have you seen the like it's all men until it's no men?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it, and those type of feminists is what I'm talking about. Is like why I like debating them so much, is just to show that their thinking and logic is completely flawed.
Well, but does that mean that that their message that they're delivering is flawed, or just their way of bringing about that message?
Yeah, just some of the things they say and their way of bringing the message is kind of flawed.
Sean,
and just I'm not saying for all feminists, just the radical left wing that you explained, feminist type people that.
Sean, you're not getting it. It's all feminists until no feminists. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Get with it. I'm just kidding.
Okay. It's all feminists until no feminists.
Sean, do you believe in equal treatment of both sexes?
Well, yeah.
You're a feminist in my book, brother. Okay, you're one of the good ones. Okay, change the rest of them.
Yeah, but when they say, especially when they say for equal pay for equal work, well, okay, so to prove this is men are more likely to ask for a raise or a promotion. They're more likely to work longer hours. They're more likely to,
Look, we've all watched Ben Shapiro before, man.
Oh, this isn't Ben Shapiro.
No, I'm just kidding.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I love Charlie
that's
Kirk
just
again,
Ben Shapiro 2.0.
Yeah, that's Ben Shapiro.
Honestly, when I heard Charlie Kirk debate people, I was highly disappointed.
Yeah, he knows a lot about any constitutional paperwork. He'll know a lot about he knows a lot about the Constitution and Bill of Rights, but he just doesn't know a lot about debating.
Yeah, and his philosophy is very lacking.
Yeah. Oh, his philosophy is the worst.
I'm not saying he's dumb. I don't think that. I don't think he's well versed in the deeper aspect of the actual debate.
I think he knows what he knows what fallacies are.
Ben Shapiro, I don't like the way he debates, because it just feels like he's telling people that they're stupid without telling them that they're stupid.
Yeah.
He's got a
smarter and intellectually smarter than them.
But he's probably a better debater than Charlie Kirk, though.
Oh, he's miles better. But also, he knows what he's doing. Charlie Kirk, I think, only knows what logical fallacies are so that he can weaponize them for people who don't know. He'll ad hum all the time. He'll be like, how many people in this crowd think that the economy's better? And everybody will cheer, and he'll be like, you see how stupid you look right now? And it's like, okay, what? Whether that's true or not is separated from the fact that people cheer. Yeah.
I didn't think he had good responses on one of his round chair debates on his abortion.
Yeah.
A lot of his responses were not good.
But Ben Shapiro, who was a way better debater, Ben Shapiro.
The debate on abortion was just, it was
That
awful.
was difficult to watch.
Ben Shapiro got dog walked though.
So many points. I was like, there were so many other points you could have argued that would have made your point of view on pro-life so much better.
I actually thought Parker did really well against Charlie Kirk, and I don't think Parker's that good of a debater.
No, Parker's is not good.
Parker is a good debater about financial things.
Sure, yeah, certain things he is.
Yeah,
and he does hold decent debating skills even in abortion. It's just we're used to a different level of that, especially right down here, because he's more philosophically in depth than a lot of people I've talked to. Yeah. But he's really not a bad debater, but he gets beat by a lot of the better debaters. He'll be beat by them all the time.
It's probably really hard, to sympathize. It's probably really hard to sit in front of 10,000 viewers and not develop some kind of I can just resort to all the comments agree with me and look how dumb you look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The comments shouldn't even matter.
I know they shouldn't, but for him finding his way, yeah.
People do say that because, especially when it gets more philosophically in depth, a lot of people won't follow or track.
Yeah. And that's what I love when people.
My favorite pro-life activist is Kristen Hawkins, and I love how she debates people. I really do.
Dude, I used to worship Ben Shapiro when I was a conservative.
Oh, I did too. I did the same thing.
When he and Steven Crowder, the Change My Mind segment. But what I've realized, and not why I changed, but my political views just gradually shifted over time. when I like started finding myself, like I got interested in knowing logic and stuff by watching those kinds of people, right? But then now if I watch back Ben Shapiro's arguments, like his most famous one, let's take that. She goes, why do you have to be a boy to be in the Boy Scouts? And he goes, because it says it. And she goes, where does it say that? And he goes, in the name, Boy Scouts. Okay, that is a slam dunk as far as like debate tactics go. As far as far as logical consistency goes, that is R worded, right? Look at the Miami Dolphins. Not a single player on that team is a Dolphin. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like if that's what you're going to use as your like standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always felt they have sound bites. They don't really have great responses to the debate in the format. But a lot of the debates they're in aren't like formal debates either. And a lot of true formal debates work on a totally different framework because you got like 2 minutes to talk, 2 minutes to talk.
Yeah.
Then you got your rebuttals and all that. So it's a different framework. So it's not actually like going back and forth.
I love that shit though.
It's fun too. It's a different type of fun, you know. But it's more like I watched the debate with William Wayne Craig and who was the other guy?
Matt.
He's a famous atheist.
Matt Dillahunty?
No, lower level than that.
Cosmic Skeptic?
No.
I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember the name either.
Shoot. And they were debating morality. And of course, Craig holds the stance that like you need an objective.
Skylar said her phone died. How's the live still going?
That's weird.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that the live is still on though.
What the dog doing? How the live going?
Well, I
mean, yeah, that's weird.
Well, I guess I'll say goodbye, but keep talking. That way, in case it ends.
I'll say goodbye to you just in case, but we'll just keep talking till it goes.
Dude, Ben Shapiro in his Surrounded Jubilee video got back shots from almost every person there. Like the emotional trans appeal, I sympathize with the trans community. I argue in favor of the trans community all the time. But there were people there that dog walked Ben, and I've never seen him get so flustered.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think a lot of these people study